I'll give the Queen this in terms of a live performing rock band. And considering all of the time periods and eras that every musical artist has ever existed in, I think there's a strong argument that Queen, and specifically Freddie Mercury, are maybe the best or one of the most important live performing rock acts, specifically talking about live performance. I think in terms of songwriting, give it to the Beatles for sure. In terms of songwriting and mainstream musical innovation, because obviously a lot of these musical ideas and innovations that the Beatles came up with, they did invent a lot of great stuff. A huge percent of it was just stuff that, was from either other cultures, other countries, or wasn't really popular in the mainstream. And these guys, the Beatles, were really doing their research and doing their digging and really diving in headfirst to as much musical knowledge and exposure as they possibly could. And for their time period, it seemed like they just kind of hit that perfect moment in space and time where they would have an advantage of they were young, they were all thoughtful, they obviously for the most part liked being around each other, even though controversy has arisen. They still clearly all loved each other very much, I'd say. And they all just had very, very different and very thoughtful and unique visions on music and how they approached music. And I'm bringing this up because I think with Queen, the big thing that brings Queen down a peg below or down a tier, let's say, from the Beatles, from a songwriting point, is I'd say they really they covered tons of different genres, but they just didn't have that kind of quite as significant as a pulse on the world culture through their lyrics and through their music and lyrics, and that ultimately it just comes back to the point I made at the beginning that there's a higher percentage of tracks that are duds on Queen's track list. They're still fun, and I think people who are diehard Queen fans would argue against that, but Queen more so stuck to anthemic rock stuff, theatrical stuff, and some like classic and theater and rock hybrid fusion. And outside of that, they did some jazzier, quote unquote, obviously some poppier stuff as well, but I would say that I don't know if there's anything you could say to give Queen a negative review, it's just that they have 15 studio albums, full-length albums as far as I can remember, and I mean, like, how many tracks would we consider to be classic, essential Queen songs, and is that percentage of their discography really justified as being seen as like, most of their songs are amazing? No. They have several albums that are significantly more popular and have more hits on them than but it's not really a jazz album. What I recall. Yeah, it's a hard rock, heavy metal, arena rock album like the majority of their stuff. It's not a jazz album. That's the thing. So I don't know, but I mean, you bring up a good point. It's very hard to give any real authentic negative critique of Queen. Here, you know what? I can't believe I didn't think of this. Go somewhere even more obvious. The 2018 Oscar-nominated movie, Bohemian Rhapsody. What a piece of shit. And by what a piece of shit, what I really mean is it's fine. It's average. It's a very average, and at parts I would say pretty subpar music biopic movie. Let's make this just a little bit bigger. What did you guys think of this movie, chat? I mean, look, I gave it a 3. It's not actually a piece of shit. It's just that it just could have been so much better in every way. And I really think that the fucking the editing was terrible, namely. Rami was very great, very excellent as of course. I actually thought, for me, the guy who did the best job, who I was most compelled by was the guy who played Brian. This guy, Gwilym Lee. Yeah, I thought this guy gave the best performance, honestly. But again, Rami was wonderful. I have no problems with really most of the acting or any of the acting as far as I recall. Here, let's dive in. This is one of my this is one of my longest reviews by far. Yeah, namely the editing and pacing. And I know that from what I understand, a lot of the problems that this movie has really come down to the members of Queen having too much control over this movie. So I have to give the members of Queen a negative review on their interpersonal artistic decisions in terms of how this movie was made, because it really just feels like all of the soul, not all of it, but obviously, again, I gave it 3 stars. I was just expecting it to be so much better, and the fact that it got nominated for multiple Oscars, especially Best Editing, is a fucking perfect exemplifier of how batshit out of whack and stupid the Oscars are, and just so many of their decisions. It was genuinely one of the worst edited movies of the year. I'm not talking like I watched 70 movies and it was the 20 or 25th worst edited movie of the year. I'm talking like in terms of the movie's fucking budget and all the praise it got, and the fact that this movie was so heavily marketed everywhere, all over the fucking world, that like this is the result. I'm talking like bottom of the barrel editing. It was shit. The editing was shit. Studio confirmed that they were making a second movie to go over stuff. Oh, okay. So that means they are gonna do that, or they were thinking about doing that? Playing the fact that this has like 6 directors. Did it? Wait, let me look at the crew for this thing actually. Come on. No, it only has 1 director. It only had 2 writers. Who did the editing? Oh, it was only edited by 1 person too. Yeah, this movie was pretty shit. This movie was I actually like this movie. X2 though. I know, don't people kind of think that X2 is like the best one? I know, fuck Bryan Singer, of course. Guy's a fucking piece of shit. Yeah, wait, he directed this too. Yeah, isn't this guy a fucking pedo cunt or something? Get him the fuck out of here. Oh, you're talking about like previous directors. Okay. So yeah. No. See, totally, we're on the same page. Because it was, as far as I know, it was the bandmates, the band members of Queen, who kept causing the project to be delayed because they didn't like. I think, namely, they were defensive of Freddie's image and the way it was portrayed, I guess. But yeah, dude. Remember when Sacha Baron Cohen was probably gonna play Freddie Mercury, and most people were like, wow, that's a good pick, and then the members of Queen were like, no, that guy sucks. He's not going to take it seriously enough. Or I think maybe they actually started working with him a little bit, and he like just didn't take it, they didn't think he'd take it seriously enough or something. Yeah, oh man, I forgot about that. All the delays. But yeah, I mean, I still gave it a 3. We get these beautiful glances into the band's wonderfully experimental mentality to recording their albums, but the actual scenes are so brief and go by so fast that by the time I've just started to become invested in the process, they've lazily cut to a whole new scene at an unstated time later. Why are we only spending 1 minute on Queen recording their debut album? The same thing happens in every studio-based scene. Most of the recording process of Bohemian Rhapsody is spoiled in the trailer. We Will Rock You is invented in 90 seconds, and then slam cuts to it being played live flawlessly with no stakes. A shockingly large portion of the film is dedicated to Queen touring the world in their early and mid-career, performing flawlessly with no stakes in front of an audience that the editor is too afraid to ever fully show, because they weren't really there, probably. I can search for live Queen videos on YouTube for days. This ends up feeling redundant since the last 15 minutes of the movie is the Live Aid performance in its entirety. Perhaps a more effective way to space this out would be to tease Queen playing live all throughout their career, but not actually showing any of it on stage fully until the end with the 15-minute Live Aid sequence, with the focus being on the emotion of the performance as opposed to just reenacting the entire set list as accurately as possible. Couple paragraphs about my thoughts on the movie. It's mediocre. Yeah, I would imagine if there is a second film, it could hopefully only be better.